Naturally, you have the lovely, is it Northern Irish accent?
I do, oh yeah, yeah, but I'll be American.
American part.
Yes.
Of course, Ireland's got a lot of links with America.
Yeah, it's a similar accent, you know, we have the same R, same loaded R and things, so it's not a big journey to make.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you know, when you're a kid and you're playing Barbies, you're always American, aren't they? Hey, sis!
I was always playing Barbies as a kid.
Yeah, when you played Barbies, they were American, right?
Totally, my Barbies were all American.
So drama school didn't so much help with my acting from my American part, Barbie did.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Barbie.
To get you, Barbara.
We have had a phenomenal amount of support from you guys at home watching these videos. Thank you so much. Over 20,000 hits already, 20,000 views, it's amazing. A really high percentage of the video views that we're getting are from the United States, and they want to say, okay, well, how are these British guys coming to make it? Are they setting the film in Britain? No, we're not. We're still setting the film in America. Most of the characters are still American, still talk with an American accent. We've got a lot of American people working on this film. And if we're going to be setting the film in America, why cast a British star as the lead part in a predominantly American film? I think that's an interesting subject, and of course so many people want to hear about Gemma as well, because people love her, and rightfully so. She's amazing.
When I heard that Gemma was going to be on the project, well, I was delighted. She's a big name. She's had a very successful career within British TV from a fairly young age.
I've done theatre, Neil the Beauty play.
Yeah, you've got some fantastic reviews from theatre. I wish I'd seen it.
This is like the 4th or 5th film she's done recently.
I Stop Being a Loser, Airborne, Bollywood, called Fever. They told me 2 weeks before I flew out that my part would require Hindi speaking.
2 weeks before.
So they got me a Hindi tutor.
Yeah.
And he taught me how to speak Hindi for the role.
I particularly liked her recently in 13 Hours. It's a werewolf film, obviously something I'm quite fond of. I don't want to give anything away, but her ending, her sort of contribution towards the latter phases of the film, I think are her best bits in the film. I think what we really see from her is an amazing ability to convey emotion by a small, minute detail. You really believe she's actually feeling those, because nothing is over-exaggerated, but it's not so understated that it leaves the audience guessing. You feel what she feels, and she can do that without, uttering a word or even really sort of flexing too much of a muscle.
When I did 13 Hours, that was a horror film, but it was kind of the eye candy in it as well, with the short skirt, and this role is completely different. It's none of that. It's literally just on the acting, which is refreshing for me, to be given a part like that.
What I'm really looking forward to seeing is her playing Barbara, who is, although has an internal strength, she also has a lot of fragility, which is a sort of theme that we're ensuring doesn't sort of get lost in the time translation from then to now.
Obviously it's an iconic role, it's a challenging role, and it's an iconic movie, so to be involved in it and to play Barbara, it's amazing, and I'm grateful, and I hope I do it justice.
Some of the women are sort of there standing between some of the stags, the sort of the male dominant, quite used to having control type figures, and seeing sort of how the suppression of women perhaps in the original, there is an element of that, but there's also an element of far more ferocity, of like the animal caged, which I think we see in Gemma's performance as Barbara. And that was great to watch being filmed.
Barbara's, she's got a big following with the film, and there's lots of people interested in the film, so I want to do the part justice, but I don't want to make her too wimpy. I'd like to think the Barbara of this day and age would have a bit more fight in her than the original Barbara. So, although we're keeping the original kind of outline of the jacket and things and the weakness there, we are going to kind of big her up a bit and give her a bit of action as well.
Absolutely, not just your damsel in distress, but a bit more kind of kick-ass.
Damsel with a twist.
With a twist, absolutely.
Yes. I hope the audience like her. hopefully.
To have someone of that active level, involved in the project just gives us this extra level of sort of, this is it, we can really make a darn good shot at this.
I first met Gemma on a film called Baseline. On that film we had a night shoot in Tesco's, and Tesco's was going to be robbed at gunpoint. Obviously I knew of Gemma from Hollyoaks, I think one of the most successful actresses to ever come from that show, and had a long run on that show, did loads of spin-offs, and very well loved for her part in that. And also I knew her for her modelling career, and watching Gemma act in this scene where she had to go through a whole range of emotions, from being, just happy and cheerful, beeping things through at the supermarket, to, oh, there's somebody pointing a gun in my face, and having a complete breakdown and not being able to cope. She'd be crying, and then as soon as somebody calls cut, then that's it. She was smiles, she was, oh, is that okay? Brilliant. I just thought, wow, so professional, such a great actress, and I sat there watching her thinking, one day I'm going to make a horror film, and when I do make a horror film, I want you to be the lead. And I'm just so pleased that that has actually transpired and that has happened.
One of the hopes of Team Mates Films is to explore the relationship between America and Britain in some of our movies. Sometimes it might be quite direct, sometimes it might just be just under the surface, and something which you more get a feeling for. This being a very good example, we're making a British film using the best sort of actors we can find to represent different areas of America, different sort of American, not stereotypes, but characters. And yet we're retaining a British lead, female, in Gemma as Barbara. People may ask, why have you done that? Because you've got, everyone else is American, why didn't you just go for the whole shebang? And I think it really helps the film in a way, because the isolation that even someone who's moved to America from Britain to live there permanently, or someone who's even just over there for a protracted period of time, that isolation is going to give you a different perspective, especially when surrounded by strangers. If this had been set in if we wanted to make a British version of it, and set it in Britain when the outbreak occurs, we'd probably be wanting to have an American as Barbara.
People who aren't involved with the film industry might think, okay, you're a British company, British crew, if you want to make an American film you have to go to Hollywood or you have to go to New York. I think nearly every member of our cast and crew has worked on American high-budget Hollywood films with massive stars, coming from the big distributors, and they've all been made in this country. In fact, I didn't, but a lot of our crew and a lot of our team even worked on Captain America, the most American of films. A good proportion of it was made in the United Kingdom. So I always knew that I wanted to cast Gemma in a horror film, and then I knew that I was going to be making this horror film, which is a remake of an American film, and I thought, well, I have to set it in America. There's no way not to set it in America. It wouldn't be right. If you remember the original film, the opening sequence shows Johnny and Barbara in their car driving to the cemetery to put a wreath down on their father's grave. There's actually lines in the original about how they don't remember their father, and I thought it would be interesting to take that and expand on it and say, okay, well, how about if their father was an American serviceman who actually had an affair with a British woman, and maybe her father died in a war that maybe America and Britain were fighting on the same side. And suddenly that opened all kinds of interesting writing possibilities and social, political kind of intrigue in my head, and I thought, this is an angle I can go with. It just adds that one extra layer of, she feels even more of an outsider, and there's just that slight cultural difference which helps her feel even more alienated than she would already be feeling in the horrible circumstances that have just happened to her.
In a way, thinking about it, it's actually an interesting parallel, because you've got a British film company remaking an American horror classic. We're almost in the shoes of someone like Barbara in this tale. We're making a film for an audience that we think we know because of the long relationship that British and American audiences have had in terms of the films made for the Western typical audience member. But at the same time, it is an entirely different market overseas. We're getting to do some filming over there, which I'm overjoyed by. I think in a way I don't have anything else to say.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.